Hi, Ben. I thought I would just send you a video because it might be easier if I talk through what I'm thinking. Okay, so your goal was to make a quadratic problem that could be solved using the quadratic formula, but didn't have a square root in the answer, meaning you could find the square root when you did the quadratic formula. Like in the quadratic formula, it would be the square of 64, and since you know that to be 8, your answer wouldn't contain a square root. So I think the best option for this problem is to work backwards. Because we know that if something can be factored, the answers will not have square roots, I would start in factored form. So if I were doing this problem, see if I can get my pen to work, I would just, go easy. Say maybe like 2x plus 1, and then x minus 3. Now, and then I'd set it equal to 0. Hopefully when it's in factored form, you would get your answers, like if you were doing factoring, by setting this equal to 0, and it would be -1/2, and setting this equal to 0, and it would be 3. So keep in mind, when you solve it later, you should get the answers -1/2 and +3. All you're going to do here is double distribute. So you do this times this to get 2x squared. 2x times -3 to get -6x. Now we're going to take 1 times x to be 1x, and 1 times -3 to be -3. Now we're just going to combine like terms. And that way, this ensures that your answers will not have radicals in them because this could be factored. Okay, and when you can factor it, there are no radicals in your answer. So I just worked backwards as an easy way to do it. Then you could use quadratic formula on this, and remember, your answers will be this. All right, so why don't you pause the video, do the quadratic formula, and then come back and check and see if you get the same thing I did. So pause. All right, when you're doing that, you're going to do x equals the opposite of b, which would be 5, plus or minus the square root of b squared, put in parentheses, it has to be in parentheses, minus 4 times a times c, and that's also negative, all over 2a. Now, when I teach this, I just tell my kids to take out their calculator and put all this stuff just in your calculator like this. Make sure you're putting the parentheses around your negative. So that's going to be 25. This is going to be positive 24, so that's going to be 49. But again, if you can't do that in your head, no worries. Let your calculator do the arithmetic for you. Don't even put the radical over it. Just put this stuff to get the 49. Now we know the square root of the 49 is 7. So now we're going to say the answer's going to be 5 plus 7 over 4. That's 12 over 4, which is 3. And the other one will be 5 minus 7 over 4. That's -2 over 4, and that's -1/2. And hey, look at that. Our answers match what we predicted they would be. Okay? Look like you got the other equation fine, the one that had a radical answer. If I were doing that kind of problem, in my mind, I would probably just go easy. Don't go hard. So I would probably just start with x squared. And then I like to put my c value as negative so I don't get a negative number under here. So if c is negative, it will force all this to be a positive. So I would maybe put -1. And then in the middle, just pick something like, I don't know, 4x. Why that would work is nothing's going to multiply to give me -1 at the end, and in the middle combine to give me 4x if I don't have a number in front here. So I just would go super easy. And I think that is the easiest thing for me. But I'm not saying you even need to change yours, but that's how I would do it. And then if I solve this, again, certainly, and I didn't do that in the previous problem, but you can say obviously a is 1, B is 4, C is -1, and if you did the formula, be the opposite of B, plus or minus B squared minus 4AC all over 2A. Again, you can let your calculator do all this arithmetic here, or you can do in your head. 4 squared is 16. This will be positive 4 when you multiply it all, so that's 20. And that's all going to be over 2. I don't know if you simplify it more than that. If you do, you can call me and I can help you with that. Okay, hope that kind of straightens a little bit out for you and gives you some ideas.